All right, guys. Another day, another strength. Here's a question I get asked all the time, or rather, something I get asked about all the time, which is body fat. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to talk about this hulking topic, this whopper, this colossus of a topic, body fat and strength training. All right. So since the benefits outweigh the negatives, we're going to talk about the negatives first. The downsides are body fat makes you look fat and gross in excess, right? We know that. Apparently, it's like unhealthy or something. I feel like the science is kind of, a little cloudy on this. I don't know if I would trust that. I would say do your own research on the topic, right? But yeah, let's get into the benefits of body fat for strength training. All right. Number one, anabolism, aka if you're gaining weight, that is the most efficient path to gaining muscle, which is the most efficient path to getting you stronger. Pretty straightforward, right? Eating a calorie surplus, you're going to get pretty strong. That is like the most potent driver of strength there is. Nothing better than it, right? So eating in a calorie surplus, as we know, carries the risk of putting on excess body fat, unfortunately, depending on how fast you do it. If you gain weight super, super fast, you're going to gain a little more fat, probably. If you gain weight slower, you're going to gain a little less fat. Now, it depends on who is asking me this question. If it's someone really skinny, that's like 3% body fat, let's say, plenty of them walking around, you should eat a lot of food. Don't worry about getting fat because you're probably not going to be able to even if you tried. If you're already carrying a little bit of pudge, I would say go slowly, right? If you're already quite fat, then, just stay around your body weight, or if you feel like it, you can cut slowly, depending on how much it bothers you, I guess. But yeah, it's very anabolic, being able to gain weight, and that just comes with, the risk of adding excess body fat, which is fine, which I'll get into later. It improves your leverage quite a bit, right? If you just went from, let's say you're 180 pounds and you gain 20 pounds of pure fat, which doesn't happen, but if it could happen, let's say you gain 20 pounds of pure fat, you would still get stronger just from the increase in leverage on your body, right? You get more cushion around the joints. You hit the hole of the squat, and then your big fat belly bounces off your thighs and rockets you right back up to the lockout. Man, what a thing. So that's another benefit. Another one, recovery, right? Body fat, as we know, is just stored energy, as it turns out. So the more energetic you are, the more recovery you have. If you are too skinny and you do a workout and then you either forget to eat or you can't eat enough or like your schedule's crazy, something like that, blah, 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 then you're not going to recover properly because you have to rely on getting food to get those recovery resources in, right? If you don't get enough food in and you're fat enough, then you can just use your body fat to recover, plain and simple. So that's great. That's why a lot of powerlifters in the off season at least tend to carry, like a little excess body fat. And then obviously around competition, they lean down. But, well, it's really all these reasons that they, get a little fluffier in the off season. Same with bodybuilders too. But yeah, good for recovery. When you're sleeping, you're not eating, obviously, but your body can eat body fat if you have it. So you're anabolic overnight. That's great. It's good for the soul, right? For most people, I recommend getting a little chonky at least once in your lifting career, just to push the limits a little bit, see what happens. You're going to feel the strength. You're going to kind of get used to, what's a good way to describe this? Like, you get to experience the limits of anabolism, let's say, right? If you push far enough into the darkness, you kind of reach the point where you decide, that's enough. And you're never left wondering, like, what if I gained this much weight or what if I did this or that? You've already done it, and you know what it's like, and you know what happens when you go there. So it's a good journey to go on as a lifter, right? The other thing, well, I guess this is separate, but it is good to, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I got distracted. It's easy to get rid of. Easy to get rid of the body fat, right? if you decide you don't want to be fat anymore, then you just kind of get rid of it. It's not that hard to do. Whereas building muscle is difficult. It takes time. It might take you 6 months to build 6 pounds of muscle, right? You can lose 6 pounds of fat in like 2 or 3 weeks if you try hard enough. So you can bulk for, let's say you gain 2 pounds a month. You gain a half pound a week. You go really, really slow. Gain 24 pounds in a year, right? And let's say 16 pounds of that was muscle and 8 pounds was fat because you did a great job. You can lose the 8 pounds of fat in like 4 weeks. And then you have gained 16 pounds of muscle. That's pretty nuts, right? So don't be afraid of gaining weight. You're going to be able to pack on plenty of mass, which is very helpful if you do that. But yeah, people always ask me these questions, and it gets more nuanced. So I'll give some examples here. Like, let's say you're a dude who has gone through his NLP, and he's gotten reasonably strong, and now he's carrying a good bit of body fat. Let's say he's at like 30% body fat at this point, right? At that point, you can kind of make a choice on your own on what you want to do next. You can decide you want to go and just like YOLO, lean into it, and get even stronger. Let's say you're at this point, you've been able to add 5 pounds a week, and now it's slowing down, so now it's like 5 pounds every 2 or 3 weeks. At that point, you can kind of body recomp, stay at maintenance, but it's going to take a long time to lose that body fat if you do that. You're not going to lose more than, I don't want to throw a number on it, but like it's going to take a long time is what you should know. Whereas if you decide to cut and you're already that fat, you can probably maintain all your strength. Well, not your strength in the short term. You can maintain all your muscle mass while cutting. Your strength will dip temporarily, and then as soon as you go back to eating normally, your strength will come right back, which is kind of what you would expect with a cut. The fatter you are, the more feasible that is, right? But so that's one example. A guy that got fat in the NLP. Let's say you start training and you're already fat. This is probably a better situation to be in, honestly. Let's say the same guy, so he's 30% body fat. He's just starting training, so he has the whole NLP to go. If he maintains his body weight and runs the NLP, he might wind up closer to like 20 to 25% by the end of 6 months or a year or whatever. And I wouldn't even say he might. I would say he probably will. Like that's expected, which is great. That's a great outcome. So now he can either just continue to maintain, and then he's very slowly going to creep down into like the high teens. Or if he wants to be like shredded or get very lean, so he can do a bulk after that, then he can lean down some more, then do a bulk. But in general, when it comes to gaining weight, the more runway you have to gain into, the better. So like, obviously someone that's 10% body fat, they have the potential to put on a whole lot of muscle and gain a whole lot of weight essentially without getting too fat, which has a detrimental effect on building, or what am I trying to say? Not building muscle, but you tend to put on more fat the fatter you get, which is sort of how the what's a good way to describe this? The body, I think when you're starving to death, right? The body wants to run out of muscle and fat at exactly the same time. So the leaner you are and you gain weight, the higher the percentages of muscle mass, and the fatter you are already and you gain weight, the higher the percentage of fat. Right? So for muscle mass, if you're trying to gain a ton of muscle mass, being leaner helps with that. If you're already fat, probably try not to gain too much more weight because more of it's going to be fat. So once you get fat, get rid of it is what I'm trying to say. But get fat in the first place. That's good. Definitely do that. Try it out. But yeah, that's basically it. That's the quick and dirty of the video. Stop being afraid to gain weight. Stop being so skinny. And there is no, if you're too skinny, if you're super underweight, there is no slow bulk. Just like put some weight on, put some fat on, get up to, I hate to throw like numbers on this. If you're like, single digit body fat percentage, get to like 15 to 20 as fast as you possibly can, right? Don't even worry about how fat you get. Like just get there so that you can actually have some leverage to move some weights, because that's going to feed itself, right? Even if you gain weight from getting fat, then your body's acclimating to lifting that level of weight, which is then going to translate into muscle mass being built and acclimating you to lifting heavier weights like that. And then when you cut, it's going to be easier to maintain that strength and still lift those heavy weights. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, say something in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. All right.